Hello there, and welcome back to the Disconnected. I'm here with Logan and Sam, and they are from Error 4444. First off, is that how you guys actually say it out loud, or is there an easier way to say it?
I think 4444 is great. Sometimes, especially at the beginning, I would always just say three fours, and I would think I was saying it. But 4444 is also good. It's an easy way of saying it. 4444.
Perfect. I always stumble over it when I'm trying to say it as
I,
quickly as possible.
so do we. So do we. So
Well, first off, just genuinely thank you guys for getting on here. I know that you guys have been literally very busy this weekend with a launch of your newest wave of titles, literally just yesterday. So, thank you for taking a brief moment to step on and just share a little bit about the company. I've been doing this for a while, and you guys are probably the youngest label that I've done one of these interviews with, and that's not a bad thing at all because all of your titles have been so high quality so far. So first, what is the story behind Error 4444? Like, how'd you guys get into this?
Logan, you want me to take it away? Or you want to?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
want
go, go for it.
to? The it honestly started off as like a joke, really. Because I mean, Logan and I have been collecting for I- a long time. You know, it's been like probably for me over 5 years. For Logan, maybe longer. He's the grandfather in this friendship. And yeah, we were just joking around and like talking about like just trash talking some like friendly trash talking some other labels that we like and we support, and we were saying like why does nobody release, or why is there not a label that specializes in Asian films, or why do some of these labels that specialize in all films, why do they not release more Asian films?
Right.
And we were talking about just other stuff in like Hong Kong and films from Japan and whatnot, and that I Logan, I think it was Logan. Oh no, what I forget, but I think it was Logan. He said we could just start a label. Like, let's just do it. Let's be the ones who like do that. Let's specialize
Right.
in Asian cinema and blow everyone else out the water who tries to do Asian cinema. And I was like, "What, are you serious?" And then he was like, "Yeah, you just said it. There's a market for it. Let's do it." And then I was like, "Shit, okay. Well, we have to come up with a name then." And that's how it kickstarted from there. And of course, we have like again like a background of like just being big like fans of like horror, exploitation, and just weird, bizarro cinema. And with that focus on Asian genre cinema, we've both always like kind of been surrounded by a lot of Asian pop culture, or rather, we've surrounded ourselves with it,
Right.
been active about it and stuff. So yeah, I mean that's basically it.
Is there a certain film or films when you were younger that really got you attached to this genre that really set it all on fire for you?
Logan, what do you think? For you,
For me,
I'm trying to think of mine still.
I'd have to think too. I mean, I think everybody grew up watching Godzilla,
I
like
was thinking that.
reruns
Yeah,
on TV, or
yeah.
just having VHS tapes from Goodwill, stuff like that.
Yep.
Um, Watched that. It would really burned the tape out of that, and then old kung fu movies, dubbed and really bad, but really funny, but knowing that there's actually like a better version of those movies, and that we kind of get the shittier ones because they're cropped, or they're dubbed, and so we don't really get the full story or the full effect of the actors and everything. So I mean, that kind of like really speaks to me, trying to find those films and trying to re-release them too. What about you, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, I was the Godzilla was the first thing that popped in my head. I think some of my earliest memories of like I guess Asian, like pop culture, Asian like art, like movies were Godzilla, and then also like certain animes. I mean, I think like a lot of people my age probably grew up watching like Naruto and like catching that on Toonami and whatnot, and then and then the earliest, I think, now that I think of it though, the earliest for me, because I had a cousin, um he showed me very very young, and my dad, he used to talk about Bruce Lee a lot. My dad would talk to me about all the rated R movies, all the more mature stuff. He would only tell me it through his dad filtered way. And he would say, "Oh yeah, it's like very violent. You can't watch it until you turn 17, or whatever." And then my cousin, like one day we're hanging out, and then I talked to him about him. He's like, Bruce Lee, like, yeah, I have the movies. We could watch it right now if you want. Because my parents weren't home with me and my cousin, so like he just showed me. I think yes, it was Return of the Dragon, the one with Chuck Norris. And I just remembered having burned in my head the fight between Bruce Lee and then like the people like outside of in the alley of the kitchen, like of the restaurant he works at. That was
Right.
ingrained, and that was kind of like a big, I guess, moment for me because Bruce Lee kind of became an idol of mine at that time, just by watching that and only remembering a few scenes until later on when my dad finally was like, "Here's my Bruce Lee like VHS collection. Okay, now you can watch it." You know, so
Well, bless your cousin, because I think most of us have a story about at least one person like that. That was your gateway, where they wait for parents to leave and then open their trench coat and say, "Check out these films that you're not supposed to see." And it's so fantastic, and also probably a little demented how some of those original situations can really shape our taste for decades. And it's so cool that this generation is now turning into a generation of people leading these labels. So I don't know if you've been asked a question like this before, but how does it feel, or have you even considered the fact that your releases are now going to be possibly peddled to the younger generations as a gateway into some of these more extreme films?
I
it's like
don't
a
think we,
heavy responsibility.
Yeah.
I
I
don't know
don't think
what
we've
is
discussed that at all, or touched that at all.
I mean, you are genuinely that type of an influence in this hobby now, and I mean that's a good first question to go off of. Did you guys expect the immediate level of success that you seem to have with your first release?
Probably not. I mean, I would say like it's half and half. I think there was definitely like a part of us where, especially leading into it, like the months of planning and doing the work and watching the film and seeing also the film get cleaned up and working with Yoshihiro for Anatomy Extinction. Oh, sorry for some people who might not be familiar. Like Anatomy Extinction is our first. There we go.
That
Boom.
should be us. We should be holding ours up.
Yeah, we should be holding it.
I've got them already, I swear.
Oh, okay.
Beautiful,
Wow.
thank you. Appreciate the support. No, but yeah, Anatomy Extinction, Yoshihiro Nishimura's first film, and it's Tokyo Gore Police, the prequel, the schematic to Tokyo Gore Police. And yeah, we were lucky enough to be able to work with him and stuff. So a lot of that kind of was feeding us that confidence. But then, literally, like a couple days just before making it live, that's when we get nervous, and we're like, "What if nobody buys it? What if it's just like?" Okay, the first day maybe like we were gonna be happy if like 100 people bought it,
Right.
and so we were definitely like very shocked. We were shocked. Yeah, I think it was shock. I mean, we were super happy, but it was definitely a feeling of shock because that was kind of the make or break. Like this could be, and on top of that, we'll get into that later. But it's also how will people receive it once they get it in their hands?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
Yeah. Looking back on when you released, I think one of the hardest parts of the story is going to be the fact that all of this happened during a global pandemic. So overall, how did that affect you guys? Because I'm sure it had to have been a major thing, and obviously the first release was delayed slightly. So
I think the global pandemic, it affected us in different ways. I mean, I think on the one hand, it kind of pushed us to start the label and to really kind of pursue this like full fledged.
Right.
But then on the other hand, like when it came to delivery time, like when we got the materials in hand, or before that, prior to that, I think it also affected us in a negative way because we had like delays and stuff because of the global pandemic and shortages of different materials and things. So I think it kind of hit us both ways, gave us a hug and then smacked us in the face.
yeah.
I'm sure for people listening, when they hear that you were just collectors and joking around, kind of formed a label on accident, they are going to want to find out, like, were you just born with the silver spoon in your hand, or how did this happen? Did you happen to have tons of friends in the industry, or how did you get to that next step after making that discovery that you really wanted to do it together?
Definitely. I mean, a lot of it is the first release. It's literally us digging into our pockets, like
Right.
digging
Yeah,
into, like everything we have, savings. This is also people have to take into consideration. This is also us coming out of uh grad school,
yeah, we
and
met in grad school together.
yeah,
Oh, nice.
that's how we met, and like
We're
this is
both pursuing filmmaking degrees.
Yes.
That's
So
fantastic.
so going to film school, not even like technically, if you want to be technical about it, we didn't even complete it fully. It was very weird because
Yeah.
yes, we got our diplomas and everything, but literally we had a shift from in person to online, like
Right.
at the very last like quarter practically. So all of that, there's kind of a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, a lot of like not knowing what the future was looking like, in terms of jobs, in terms of all that, you know, and a little bit of I don't know, like a lot of doubt, I would say, not a little bit, a lot of doubt. So going into it, like I really like, I have a supportive family. I'm, you know, my family's middle class, so they, especially my father, he's like he's the one who earns the most money in my family, so he was very willing to like want to loan me money, but I said no, I don't want that. That's how I have always been, to be
Yeah.
honest. So I dug into my own savings, whatever that was, you know, a couple thousand, and put it down, and Logan similarly did the same thing.
Yeah, we're not rich at all. We're not rich at all.
So so you know that, so that's really just from our bootstraps, you know.
Yeah.
I kind of figured the answer to that. I just wanted to share because a lot of what I do on this channel is to try to help the labels be transparent. And there's a lot of people in this hobby that are really getting entitled, it feels like, and kind of trying to assume that these things are either something they deserve, or also on the other end they feel like they're out of reach. And in all reality, literally just a passion for these films can get a lot of people there, and they're just not taking those steps.
It's
For sure.
it's true, yeah. Yeah, I guess anyone could really do it if they had the passion and they worked really hard and put a lot of effort into it. And we're not worried about not making money for a while, you know, like focusing more on the titles, releasing films, acquiring more films, making sure they look nice, you know, stuff like that, but not being scared to not really bank anything for a good while.
Right.
So, yeah.
Anything major, you know.
Yeah.
So
Acquiring those films is a good lead off to the next thing. What was the reason to make Anatomia your first release that you were going for?
I had seen it and I liked it, and it was it's kind of a crummier version. I don't know where the version comes from, the internet, just from the internet, just saw it on
course.
there, and I thought, hey, it'd be really cool to release this, and I told Sam and made Sam check it out, and then we just were like, okay, yeah, this could be a good first, like a nice first one. So we just decided to go for it, and then, you know, Yoshihiro was really excited, and he wanted to, you know, he was really eager to help us with special features and to, you know, help us with the restoration, you know, like, because we wanted to do those things, and he was just excited, you know, because it's his first feature and not a lot of people have seen it, you know. Some little trolls like myself on the internet might have like come across it, stumbled upon it and seen it, but you know, for the most part, a lot of people haven't. So it was really a pleasure to work with him and to get it released, and he was excited. It was, you know, he's got a lot of energy, so he gave us energy, you know. We kind of worked off each other.
yeah, and it's also like sorry, I don't
No,
mean
you're
to,
good.
no, just I guess really quickly, just to piggyback, also from the perspective of like strategy and like if it's bankable, like I looked at the perspective of like the fact that nobody knows that this is literally what became Tokyo Gore Police, essentially, like
Right.
his idea, that because Tokyo Gore Police, that's like the movie that everyone associates with him, you know, that's it's his I don't know, his Pulp Fiction, so to speak, you know what I mean. So that is like another big reason I was like, I think this is good. And we loved the film when we watched it. Like when I didn't know about Anatomy Extinction. I was a big fan of Yoshihiro already from Tokyo Gore Police, but I didn't know anything about Anatomy Extinction. So when Logan pulled that up and watched it, and then we talked about it, I was like, I think this is a good idea.
I think the coolest part about that is when you equate the two, you can see a lot of what would become the future of that filmmaker in this film. So I think it's a really nice first step. and likewise kind of shows what would be the future of the label, because once you lead from that, you guys dove into something that people had seemingly been clamoring for quite some time for a couple of these titles. And just recently I had on the channel for an interview just like this Adam from Third Window, and you guys seem to work in tandem with him, right?
Yeah, we worked with Adam, and he's a great guy. I don't know did he say he loved us? Did he say good things about us?
Yeah, of course.
Oh,
Off air we talked about it quite a bit. Yeah.
oh, good. He's great.
Yeah.
He's very helpful. He's like a coach almost,
Yeah.
He gave us pointers and gave us great
A
insight.
mentor, a little bit of a mentor, yeah.
Yeah, like a mentor. Yeah, he wrote us some nice emails and stuff when he didn't have to. So like you were saying, some of the labels heads might feel entitled and stuff. Adam's not like that. So it was really nice to work with him. And I mean, Sam and I kind of made a list of movies that like we really, really wanted to release. And for me, Funky Forest was at my top. It was Funky Forest, and I really wanted Warp because I had never seen it. It only
Right.
played film festivals back in 2015. So I was like, if we can uncover this, I'd be really excited. So I
You could
tried.
quit. You could quit. That's what you said. He was like, I could quit. If we and I was like, how the hell do you get so lucky and you get your like dream release? Like
For
a film
Spine
you
2.
wanted, like a film, a grail
Yeah,
of yours, and you
yeah.
release it. It's crazy.
That's why when Running Kill happens, you're gonna quit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm out. You're only gonna see him if he comes back for an interview.
I mean, that's great that you made the connection so quick to be able to get some of those titles. Was there any sort of stumbling blocks for these first few that you guys got?
With Funky and Warp, we actually went in solo, and that was I had reached out and we were talking about it, and then I don't know, it wasn't like, because we didn't meet Adam before that. We met him during the process. Like we were already pursuing it from the US, Canada, and we didn't know, unbeknownst to us, he was pursuing it from the UK, and then there was another company, Spectrum, and they were pursuing it from France. So it all kind of just came together, and then it was like, oh, let's work together and let's split costs and
Right.
stuff like that. And so it felt a little easier because we all worked together and everything. But I mean, finding certain films are really, really hard. Like you really have to dig. Like Centipede and Red Spills, for instance, they've been sought after for years. Like we've been told. I'm not just saying that. I mean, like we've had conversations with Massacre, and he said like Unearthed has been looking for it, and there are some other companies. I think maybe what's the other one? Mondo. Maybe Mondo was looking for it at some point. So, but it takes a lot of digging and stuff, and we didn't even know if it was out there. But there were films that interested us, and we had watched them and really liked them. So we really wanted to really dig. So some are easier to find than others. It takes time. Yeah. What do you think?
You brought up Hong Kong earlier, and I've been curious because we've not talked a lot to any sort of label who's working currently in these major Hong Kong titles. With the news and the current law changes over there, has there been any talks of like a mad dash to get some of these Hong Kong titles before stuff is enacted or censored or anything?
I have heard from some people I know, like some friends and some people who have a little bit of connections within some of these labels or know some other people in these labels. I think there is this like a little bit, like you're saying, it's not something that I think has been vocalized by any label, like you said. But I personally, when I heard about that, because I do try to keep up a little bit of what's going on over there, because obviously anything Asia, like you have to kind of keep up with anything from Asia if you're trying to release Asian films.
Absolutely.
You have to be a little bit aware of the climate. So no, for sure, it is a worry because they technically can, from what I know from reading some of of that new law that passed in Hong Kong, they can technically censor whatever they want, release a film however they want, destroy whatever they want. So it definitely worried us. But funny enough, we didn't even Centipede Horror and Red Spells. It was out of the jurisdiction of China technically, and Hong Kong for that matter. We didn't find it there. So like that's the thing. Like technically, some of these films might not even be in China or Hong Kong, but that also makes it trickier.
Right.
Because you're some people might be not to say these labels aren't doing their job. They probably are looking in the places we look too. It's just that it's really about finding like somebody who works at that company and is involved with those things, or just making phone calls to places you wouldn't think, so yeah, but for sure that is a worry, and it's not for us. Hong Kong isn't the only country we want to specialize in, especially because we kind of, since Asia is our kind of playground, so to speak,
Right.
Or a sandbox, that we want to go for all sorts of countries and diversify the catalog. Hong Kong means a lot for me because I love Hong Kong films. I know Logan also, same with him. But even then, like, I'm just, as somebody who's a fan of Hong Kong cinema in general, I'm just happy that other labels are also releasing films that we, for example, weren't even involved in reaching out to them. Because
Right.
as a fan, it makes you happy too to be able to own that film and or whatnot that you couldn't have for a long time. But yeah, again, I guess just to simplify the answer, yeah, it worries us a little bit, but it's not enough for us to be like, okay, we only have to do Hong Kong. Because we'll be known as a Hong Kong label then, a Hong Kong film label then.
There's a hell of a lot more Asian cinema than most Westerners know about. So I think that the pool is large, and I don't think it'll affect any of the prospects of the label necessarily. But there's a lot of beloved films that could genuinely be lost.
Yep. That's a personal concern as a fan of Hong Kong cinema. Yes, that's like a big personal concern for sure. Yeah.
Well, the next thing, I mean, you even just touched on a bunch of labels. After you guys, noticed that not a lot of labels were putting out Asian cinema, seems like the pandemic was the perfect time to suddenly release all of the Asian cinema. Is there a lot more competition behind the scenes for you guys now, or are you going towards like a different pool than they are?
I think a little bit of both. I think Sam and I talk and we're like, well, there are some movies, we're a smaller label.
Right.
Some movies we can find and we can discuss about, but at the end of the day, it's not feasible for us to release because there's a lot more deal making with the company involved and stuff and such. So there were some that we were interested in, but then other companies like 88 Films or something ended up getting them, and we're perfectly happy with that because it just wouldn't work for us. It's not feasible for us. So we're kind of happy that some labels are putting out stuff, but we also fear that our holy grails are going to get snapped up at the same time. But I think at the end of the day, our films, like, we are doing like we have other things coming that we have never done before in regions that we've never released yet. So, and a lot of companies have not done this region, so we're really excited about that. And we're going to try to dip our toe all over and do all different types of films from all over. So I think we're a little different than some, because some are just doing Hong Kong right now. Hong Kong.
Right.
Some are doing some Japanese or just Japanese, but we want to kind of do more of a mixture and different genres too.
Yeah.
Not just horror exploitation, but we also want to do like sci-fi if we can, or I have some titles that I really want that are more martial arts, some action, kung fu stuff that's coming, and I really want this kaiju thing because that opened up a whole nother thing for us. So I really want this kaiju thing. So we're considering that, but yeah, we're a little different, so I think it's okay.
It's exciting, and not to mention, I mean, you bring in more fans that way. You get more people interested in the label by not putting yourself in one tiny little pocket, which is always important for the future of your success as well. And speaking of success, I mean, this one seemed to sell just as quick, if not quicker, than the first title. And it's really a step up for collectors from the first title. I mean, obviously, with the type of release it is, the extras that you got with it, the CD, everything. You guys are clearly coming at this as collectors. Is there somebody that you're trying to emulate, or are you trying to go out there and kind of forge your own path?
I guess I'll just quickly kind of speak to the part of your question about the collectors and kind of this label, one of the big parts of it, and we kind of always remind ourselves and ground ourselves, is that it's by collectors for collectors. It's kind of like that's kind of our motto. Like whatever Logan and I are like thinking of what type of packaging options, what type of artwork, and how we even the collaborators, like our collaborators, like artists or people contributing even essays or features, like we try to push people like in a good way. We try to
Right.
like push them to make like some of their best work, and like because we also know like from a commercials and like strategic standpoint, like nice artwork is going to sell movies, like even if for us though, like these movies that we're trying to find the quality movies, but we want quality artwork to match. So because again, like nice artwork, you could sell shit and have like beautiful artwork or
Yep.
slipcover on top of it. So like that's always something we talk about constantly. So we want to make releases that we would want to buy as soon as they're announced. That's how we try to go about it and handle each release we do. So yeah, each release, in terms of like a consistent kind of like packaging, it depends because like box sets might be different. Maybe people will see that our materials get better. Maybe like I'm not gonna say they're gonna get super deluxe anytime soon, but they could get better. Maybe the slip covers will get better. So it depends. We're always talking to new people, talking to new companies. Here, yeah, manufacturers, and we keep an open mind, but we also, again, we're collectors. We still collect movies. We are fans of a lot of these labels, and we look at them, and we also get inspired by them. So that's a big part of it. Yeah.
I think even with these two that we're pre-ordering right now, it's another step up because we have like the rigid box with the magnetic clasp thing. Like
Yeah.
we're trying to, we want it to be good, and we want to take it up as high as it'll go without being too goofy, I guess, being too over the top, but just enough.
The art for this round that you guys just put up for pre-order is astonishing. It looks like a beautiful release, and I can't wait to have it in my hand. So, bravo on that, because obviously the films were already sought after by a lot of people, but this just makes it that much more compelling. Has it been a fairly successful weekend? Can you share?
Yeah, I'd say it's been very successful. Sam, how do you feel?
Yeah. I mean, no, I think this is our best release so far. I mean, that also we did double like a lot of kind of
Right.
the numbers, so that, and then bundles are very new to us. We this is our first time. It was, for me, I will say I was very uh resistant a little bit when, because Logan's kind of the one who brought up the idea of these bundles, and at first I was like, I don't really know about that. Not to say that it's sunk other companies, because for example Severin, which we're fans of Severin, they do bundles,
Yep.
and a lot of people buy their bundles sell out. So we kind of I guess took a little bit of a page out of their book, and we got inspired, and that's once like Logan kind of convinced me about the bundles, like we try to like come up with, okay, how do we make every bundle kind of worth it for people, because also that's a part of it for me. I'm like, sometimes if I look at some of the bundles, not to say that Severins are bad, it's just me. I'm the type of collector where it's like, you really got to sell me on like the bundles. Like, and for example, like I've never bought any of like the highest bundles from Severin, and that's not to say that, because I mean they sell out. Maybe even if I try, they probably still sell out. But like, so they do well. But it's more like, for me, it needs to be something that's like, it has to be like, okay, I need that, and that's kind of one of the reasons. I think we went ahead and did the bundles to kind of, one, in some sense, to give us that challenge and to experiment, and it worked. I mean, it's doing well, and again, I think it is it is right now our fastest selling release, and the numbers have been crazy. Like, yeah, we're continuing to get surprised. Yeah.
I do a live show every single Thursday night to talk about announcements from that previous week and talk about what's coming the next week. And of course, you guys were the following day on this last Thursday, and the comments were just on fire about everybody excited about them. I also have a Patreon on the channel, and with that, I have a Discord where we all discuss. And we literally had a countdown, and almost every single person in our Discord was there right at launch, and pretty much everybody bought one. So this has been a very busy wave, I can tell. So just kudos again, because it looks beautiful.
Thank you for that,
Well
and
done.
thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that, because that, I mean, that's kind of like a nice way of rallying people and trying to get people excited over not just like buying but movies, you know, and like getting people together watching these stuff, because a lot of people who are buying these have never watched them, and we're
Right.
like, that's one of the things we're most excited for. This is a painful part for us, because it's like we gotta wait, because it's not just about like, you know, like having the movies and holding on to them. It's like we have to wait too, you know, for the manufacturing and stuff. So we want people to see these movies as fast as possible. We want to hear what people have to say. We want to start seeing more reviews pop up on Letterboxd. You know, that's one of the biggest joys for me, at least. I know I'm pretty sure for Logan too, but for me, I love reading people's reviews, not just about our release, but like the movie itself. You know, I love that.
Yeah.
On a small scale, I love even just recommending a movie to somebody and they respond that it was a perfect home run, like this was exactly what I needed. But you guys are literally like programming for the entire world. Most people have never seen some of these titles, so for you to release it is sort of what is going to catch some of these on fire on something like Letterboxd. That's a big deal. I imagine that feels absolutely great to see it take off.
Yeah, that's another thing that kind of separates us from other labels, because we do try to go for films that are lesser seen, lesser known, you know.
Right.
But if it's like amazing, or, you know, or if it's really good and people haven't seen it, like we're like, oh, we'd really like to showcase this. How can we showcase this? And you know, yeah, we just want to do the best we can. I think like my background, like I was always interested in film festivals, programming for film
Yep.
festivals. So this kind of like utilizes that a little bit, you know, so we can like kind of hone in. It's a much longer, and it's one movie, you know, and you're putting all into the one movie, but
Right.
you know, you get the same kind of like excitement, you know, and then the Christmas Day morning when, you know, everybody gets to order it, or when everybody receives it and we start reposting on Instagram, you know, and everybody's like watching tonight, you know, and excited. You know, it's like a communal thing, you know, we're
Yep.
all in it together. So it feels really good.
So, for anybody that hasn't been excited enough to dive into these two new titles, can one of you sell Centipede Horror on why this is something that collectors might love if they've never seen it?
You wrote the synopsis, Sam.
Jesus.
I edited it, but you wrote the synopsis, baby.
I think Centipede Horror is quintessential Hong Kong celluloid insanity. I think that if you want the definition of a the probably one of the holy trinity of like gross out films, I think Centipede Horror has to be there. I think that anyone who likes kind of supernatural like black magic horror has to be there for this movie. I think again, like just horror fans in general will get a kick out of this. I even think there are some fans of like Italian cinema, like Italian zombie cinema, maybe even Lucio Fulci, a lot of that rotting imagery, nastiness, like faces, like boils, bugs everywhere, maggots everywhere, with centipedes. So I think you have to see it. It's like one of those movies you have to see to believe. It's an experience. And again, fans of horror, like they're gonna feel at home, and I think it'll be a newfound favorite for many people, and a good taste of for those who haven't yet completely gone through the door of like Hong Kong horror or exploitation cinema. This is gonna be, I think, a gateway for a lot of people. So yeah.
I think
Nice.
also there's a famous quote from Tom Savini, and he said at the time like it was the grossest film he's ever seen or something like that. So I think that also sums it up a little bit for fans.
It's a hell of a pull quote.
Yeah.
What about Red Spell?
Red Spell is great. Red Spell is the lesser seen, lesser known of the two for sure, because AGFA released that print thing online, and so some people were able to see Centipede at the time, but the subs were burned in, and it was really washed out because they added light to it. So because there was like a color burn in the print, so they added like a flash like light to it, so it was really washed out, and so the subtitles were kind of bad already, but then they were kind of a little extra bad because in the daytime scenes they kind of blended in. But Red Spells, a lot of people don't know, but it is really, really good. It's really fun. It's insane. It also has like a bug centric kind of villain like of the film, but it's also just, it tries a little bit of everything, you know. There's like there's some possession stuff. There's like death by film reel or film stock and like trees and leaves, and there's just all kinds of stuff. It's pretty fun. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not good at it.
No, that was good. That was good.
I know I'm excited for it. You both have mentioned that you are already going to be releasing pretty much what was your Grail. Is there now a new Grail title for each of you?
Oh,
A new one, huh? That was rough.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, that one is rough. I mean, I think there definitely is. I can't think of something off the top. I mean, for me, it's definitely like it has to be from Hong Kong for me. It has to be. For me, it would probably be either there's a Anthony Wong Category 3 movie that is obviously not Untold Story, and it's not Ebola Syndrome. But I personally think it's the third. It should be the third one. Not a lot of people know about it. It should be like if the holy trinity of Anthony Wong's like just disgusting, nasty psychopath
Right.
performances, I think the third one should be Love to Kill, which came out in the 90s as well. It came out, if I'm not mistaken, following on the heels of Untold Story. So he's like, it's almost like he stumbled off the set of Untold Story and he's like, okay, what do I do? Like, who do I kill? Like, it's kind of like, that's literally how he's acting in Love to Kill. So I think people who love Ebola Syndrome and Untold Story will also love to Kill. That's a big grail of mine. But I mean, right now I can't say anything about that because unfortunately there's nothing to say. But that's a grail of mine for sure. Yeah, I don't know, Logan. What about you?
I have a whole list on Letterboxd
There
of
we
like
go.
our dream releases, and I add them in. Like I'm like, oh, this one, and we've hit up a bunch of these. We've hit up, and we were able to find some, and we're still working on some, which is cool.
Wow.
I don't know. I mean, like, I'm really excited about some that we're like working on right now, that we're pursuing right now, that we have. But I don't have any, like, I don't have a title in my head that I'm like, oh, this one is the new Grail. But it's kind of like some of the ones we're working on now is kind of a Grail. And we were talking earlier today about interviewing an actress and how she's in the US and how we're thinking about traveling and meeting her and interviewing her, and how that's another new kind of thing for us. So we'd be really excited to do that. So that's kind of like, that's my Grail right now. I think meeting her will be a Grail, and I think it'll be a Grail for Sam too. I know he's excited if it does come to fruition. So
That's really cool, actually.
yeah.
I hope it works out. The other major difference so far is with Centipede Horror and Red Spell, you guys are putting out an animal cruelty-free version. Is there a reason you made that choice, or did something call for that?
I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to bring that up a little bit. No, yeah, I mean, we kind of took a page out of Grindhouse releasing, and I love Cannibal Holocaust and I love Cannibal Ferox. I love a lot of Italian horror films, and something that I thought was really neat was that even though I'm also the type of viewer to view the original version of the film, Cannibal Holocaust, even on repeat viewings, for example, is still a film you have to be mentally prepared to watch each time you watch it. So, and I've seen it multiple times, so it's like I still have to be in a mind state to watch it. So it's nice to have that option, because if I don't feel like having these animals killed in front of me, like I don't have to. I can watch a different version of it. So that was something we thought of, because Red Spell in particular out of these two has a lot. Unfortunately, it's regrettable, and that's also, but it's good to address it, because people have to realize the time this is coming from, the 80s, and in Cannibal Holocaust was fucking, oh my gosh, this is horrible. I'm forgetting it's 80s as well, right? Or 70s, sorry.
It might be late 70s.
It might be late 70s. I can't believe I'm forgetting. It's been ages since I've watched Cannibal Holocaust. But with exploitation cinema and grindhouse cinema starting like around like the late 60s and moving into the 80s, that was a way to put butts in seats. Unfortunately, with exploitation cinema, it was like animal cruelty was a cheap shock tactic. So Yeah, that's like
It was
that's
it
like
was
a standard.
1980, by the way. I just checked.
There we go.
Yeah,
So
The
right
80s.
on the cusp.
Yes. So yeah, so that was a part of it, and there's a lot of people who are, I mean, sensitive to that, understandably so.
Right.
So we felt the need to do that as just an extra feature, an extra option. So yeah.
yeah. We're not trying to like change the films. We're just trying to alter or like offer an alternate cut for those who don't necessarily want to see an animal get murdered in front of them and hear the squeals or whatever it is, so and for these films, my opinion, the animal violence, they don't really change the plot or anything like that. They're kind of just in there just for shock value or
Yeah.
whatever. So I mean, if you want to watch it with, you can. If you don't want to watch it with that, you don't have to. So that's all it is. We're just trying to give the best viewing experience for everyone, and like give people like no excuse to watch these films. We want to be able to share them with you no matter what.
I'd almost say for most films around that time, they didn't ever really affect the plot all that much. I mean, Cannibal Holocaust, obviously, it sort of does, but for the most part, when Ebola Syndrome came out, I first of all, I watch every single movie with my wife, and my wife is sensitive to the animal killing, and
no.
Ebola Syndrome opens with the frog killing, and I totally forgot. And she was like, "That's not real, is it?" I went, "Well, actually."
Uh,
So now, and I'm sure you guys have heard of it, there's a website called doesthedogdie.com. So I'm
Oh.
more it tells you basically it's a list of trigger warnings for every single film for
Wow.
That's awesome.
if
What the
there's
hell?
sexual assault, if there's an animal that's killed, certain phobias, if there's something in
Oh
there.
wow.
So I check that out for my wife before every single film now and just say,
Wow.
hey, this might be in here, just a warning. And if she's not feeling it that night, I choose something else.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, because the old-fashioned way feels like you go to IMDb and then there's like the parental,
That's right.
you know what I mean. You get into
Yeah.
watch. Sometimes I'll read them for fun, and I've
Yep.
seen the movie. I'm like, let me see how they wrote it. Like in detail.
Some of these, I mean, I've got a 5-year-old, well, an almost 6-year-old and a 7-year-old, and some of these movies, like Little Monsters, I'll look up something to show them, and I'm like, well, this doesn't sound too bad. And then I watch them, like, well, maybe that was a little
Yeah.
rougher than I remember.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it is nice to have a website like that you can go to.
Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, this release has been huge for you guys, and you've announced a couple other things coming soon. Do you happen to have a timeline on the next wave, maybe? I know you're in the middle of this one, so that's a little intimidating, probably. But
Well, Sam and I have been discussing it. We'd like to get 2 more out before the end of the year. We'd like to get 2 more out before just the end of December. That would be great.
Yeah.
We have like different avenues we can take with that. 2 of which have already been announced: Run and Kill and Red to Kill,
Mhm.
right? And then we have other ones that we're kind of like discussing. Maybe these will be faster. Maybe we can get them out
Right.
sooner. But we also don't want to jeopardize like the quality of the release, the artwork and all that, because it does take time. I mean, from the moment we announced Centipede and Red Spells, it was a year to now, to actually get it out. So it takes time. You have to be willing to hold your breath and work through it. But I mean, the wheels are turning, and we're going to try to get them out. We're not the biggest label, but if we can make sure, if everything looks good to us and we're satisfied with everything, I think it could be by the end of this year you'll see at least 2 more titles from us.
Yep.
nice. There's not a lot of stuff on the internet about Air 4444 yet because there's only been a handful of releases. Is there anything that the public doesn't know about you that you'd like them to know?
Sam, you're left-handed, right?
No. No. I wish I could do both. I wish I was ambidextrous.
Yeah.
No.
To know about the label or about us?
Yes. Either way.
Oh.
Your deepest, darkest secret. About the label, I mean, I think
I wrote a nice new bio on the website.
Yes, I did see
Yeah.
that.
Did you see that? It's pretty good, right?
Yeah, it is. I've literally got it all right here, named after the unlucky nature, the number 4. Everything. It sounds great. I'm really excited for some of these sci-fi films because a lot of those have never had releases anywhere. I feel like those are vastly underrepresented from the Asian side.
Yeah,
It's intriguing.
Yeah.
I guess I was gonna say the only thing I guess I can say to people is kind of like, um, we want to go bigger in the sense of like we want our releases to kind of also embody our growth. We want to do more experimental stuff with our releases, and maybe like this is way in the future though. This is like goals of ours. Like I always joke with Logan, like I would love to have steel books of some of these crazy
Oh
movies.
my god.
Like,
He wants to do steelbooks, but he won't do like what is that thing? Metal packs?
because there's a difference. There's like a
He got metal packs, but
yeah.
he
There's a
won't
big,
do
big
those.
difference.
There's a difference because metal packs are weird with the spine.
I know
The
they're weird.
spine's
I
so
know they're
weird,
weird. I
and
don't
then
like
steel
these.
books is like nice looking. It's like so that's why him and me are always arguing about that. But I think metal packs are cheaper or
I'm
something
only
like
joking
that.
around though. I'm not
Yeah.
serious. I don't expect us to really do metal packs. I'm just fucking with him. It's just a fucking thing. Like I'm just like texting him this, and he's getting all aggravated.
That's a pipe dream. Steel books are a pipe dream of mine.
Yeah,
Basically.
cool.
Well, the hard part, and a lot of people that are just a part of this hobby don't understand that steelbooks, you usually have to print like at least 3,000 or 4,000
Yeah,
with
yeah,
some of these
Yep.
printers, which is
Yep.
crazy.
Yep.
yeah. And that's I
And
think that's a big reason why we haven't done it yet, because it's like a lot of numbers, but then like also per unit, it's more expensive than a Blu-ray case and a slip case or whatever it is.
absolutely.
But trust me, like trust us. Like there were times where I was talking to Laura, I was like, maybe we could do what if we did the steelbook of Red Spell, but the Thai art. I'm like, imagine how gorgeous that would look, It's kind of like having those conversations and knowing it's not gonna happen, but just daydreaming. And again, that's how you know like where we're coming from in our background and how we love collecting physical media because we're even talking about all these dreams of the packaging and stuff, and it can't happen now. That's like a goal, that's like kind of
Right.
if we could do what Arrow does where they can do fucking steelbooks and they can do this and they can do that, that would be beautiful. Yeah,
For all the same title, they'll do 5 different versions.
that's acceptable.
wanna do
Maybe not that, but
I
Exactly.
just had a discussion on here with somebody from Scotland actually about premium releases because I don't collect all of them because I would be bankrupt tomorrow. But there are so many Asian companies that do these massive collector's editions, but nobody in the U.S. is doing it. And
Yep.
I mean, maybe that's the niche that you guys can go for someday because there's a lot of collectors here that are after that.
That is true. We could do something like that. I'd have to
And
talk
then-
Sam into it. I think Sam would be more on the fence, but
I
could
think in the future, definitely in the future, like once we're more a little stacked up, a little beefier, like I would be down to do
after we've
something.
been to the gym a little next
Yeah,
year.
exactly.
Once we're more beefed up,
Exactly.
we'll unveil like something crazy.
Yeah, but no, I mean we're familiar with what you're talking about because I have a handful. I can't either. Like you said,
Yep.
if
I
you-
literally have 5 or 6.
exactly. Like for some of my like favorites, but if you did the one clicks, like the one
Right.
click with like the 3 slip covers and the 3 steel books, it's ridiculous. I think you have to have money to throw away to do that. So
Yeah, it's insane.
yeah, but they're cool. Like I gotta give them props because they are creative. A lot of their packages, I mean, in some ways, like if you're buying just the single slip with the steelbook and all the stuff inside, it's kind of worth it, especially if it's a favorite of yours. They're nice, So like I wanted to, I guess I could give a shout out to a company because I love Plain Archive. That's one.
They're beautiful.
I think they're one of the like OGs in the whole thing. I love them. Their packaging to me is like kind of like that's kind of something I aspire. Like I think they have beautiful, gorgeous packaging. And I remember when we got the prototype for the Funky Forest and Warp Forest, the outer part of the box, it kind of gave me a little bit of that feeling. I'm not going to compare ourselves to Plain Archive, but it gave me a little bit of that premium feeling. I was like, I like this, I like this.
It was
I get that
for us. So when we felt that, we were like, "Oh, that we're moving in the right direction."
Yeah, like we're going up.
Yeah. So
well,
like
the outer box being embossed, it genuinely does feel a little bit like that. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
We're trying to already like kind of challenge ourselves to step up with like that. We want to do a chipboard box before steelbooks. We'll dive into chipboard. I think that's the next thing that we've been discussing.
There seems to be a whole bunch of different types of markets in the U.S. that nobody's addressing. I mean, media books is one of them. I don't know if either of you collect media books, but they would be sweet for U.S. releases of these.
I've discussed this with Sam. He's like against it. I'm like, come on, let's do it, baby. And he's like,
it's complicated. Look, I mean, like we could get into this for hours on end. It's
Hours.
so, because the thing is, right? The thing is, like, when you offer these types of, first off, like, yes, people there. I think a lot of people love media books, and people are starting to come around. U.S. collectors are starting to catch up to that, because I
Yep.
follow groups on Facebook and stuff that are dedicated to media books, for example, and there's a lot of U.S. people in those groups, and there's collectors who literally just buy media books, and it's.
Yep.
I mean, I love a lot of media book companies and what they do. The only thing is here, I feel like media books can get really pricey.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and not, I don't think everyone is yet sold on like how it looks. I think like once you look at them enough, once you buy a couple and you start seeing like what the appeal is, okay, you get hooked. But it's, I feel like personally, I feel like it's not yet at a place where it's like everyone's owning media books. I think there's a
course.
lot of there's a lot of collectors who I don't think own a single media book, you know. So that's just my thought, you know.
I get it though, because a lot of them, the print on the inside's in German, so
That's
there's
right,
That's
yeah.
almost no
true.
point
Yeah,
unless you're
yeah,
holding
that's
up
why.
Google Lens to it the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. I've done that.
I have as well. I mean, I try to read every single thing on all these releases, and
Yep.
it's time consuming, especially on those.
Ridiculous.
Well, Sam, Logan, I genuinely again want to thank you for your time. I think that this will be very enlightening for a lot of people. I think that you guys have a long road ahead as long as the quality of these titles are coming out like this, and seemingly more and more people are jumping on board. So congrats for that, and here's to many more.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Ryan. Yeah, thank you for having us. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Hope in the future you'll be happy to come back, and we'll talk then.
Oh,
For sure.
absolutely. Yeah. Let us
For
know
sure.
anytime.